I ate one cookie, so I might as well eat three. I missed one workout, so the whole week is ruined. I'll start fresh on Monday. If any of these thoughts sound familiar to you, you're probably struggling with all or nothing thinking, which is derailing your weight loss progress. And today I'm going to share step by step strategies you can use to overcome this all or nothing thinking cycle. Welcome to the Fit and Fulfilled Show. If you're a busy professional woman who wants to finally prioritize your health and happiness, this is the place to be. I'm your host, Soraya Russell, certified macronutrition coach, mindset coach, and lifestyle transformation coach. And each week, I share practical strategies to help you build sustainable habits, boost your energy, become obsessed with what you see when you look in the mirror, and feel confident and strong in your body, all without feeling stressed, burned out, or guilty. Let's dive in. So after working with hundreds of clients, I find that all or nothing thinking or perfectionism is a big reason they've never been able to maintain their weight loss results. So it's very important to change this pattern of thinking and these thought processes if you want to stick with something for the rest of your life so you can maintain your results for the rest of your life. So let's first talk about what all or nothing thinking actually is, or otherwise known as black and white thinking. It essentially means you think in extremes. Either everything is going perfectly well, you're crushing it, or you're a failure. There's no in between in your mind. You essentially believe that anything less than perfect means you're failing. So if you have 3 workouts planned this week and you miss one, you automatically feel like a failure. The other workouts did not count. And you just kind of give up for the week because you feel like the week is tarnished. And you might be wondering where these beliefs come from. And a lot of it comes from the diet industry teaching us that some foods are good and some foods are bad. So for example, with keto, carbs are categorized as bad and fats and proteins are categorized as good. So we use the same black and white thinking with everything related to weight loss. We think that missing one workout is bad, doing all workouts is good. It doesn't leave any gray area for things to just go a little off track for a bit and that still be okay. So you start thinking that I'm either good if I did everything right, or I'm bad if I did one small thing wrong. And a lot of that comes from the diet industry teaching us that through food. Also, social media is great because it probably helped you find this podcast, right? It can help you find a lot of great information, but it's also a highlight reel where you only see people losing weight, seeing people eat these perfectly aesthetically pleasing meals, people working out and being really muscular. You don't see people having hard days, skipping the gym, maybe eating off plan. And so you think that perfection is the standard because that's what you're used to seeing because people don't show the unperfect days. And so that mentally can make you feel like, well, if my life is not perfect as far as getting all my meals in, getting all my workouts in, then I'm a failure because you're comparing yourself to what you see online, which is not realistic. Also, your brain looks for clear categories to simplify complex situations. So it's much easier for your brain to say, okay, in this folder in our brain, we have good foods. In this folder in our brain, we have bad foods. We're going to put broccoli, asparagus, grilled chicken in the good folder and pizza, pasta, wine in the bad folder. That makes it easier for your brain to process information. But while it's easier, it's not healthy because then you start seeing foods in these extremes and you don't see any gray area where you're able to still include both of these and still be a good person with good eating habits and a healthy relationship with food. So you basically have to change the way you think to stop putting these foods in these clear-cut categories and allow them to just be seen as food. Another thing I found is a lot of our clients are high-achieving women who have pretty successful careers or doing well for themselves, and the perfectionism mindset is what got them there, right? They're really good at getting work done. Everything's always done perfectly, and so that has helped them in their professional career. But a lot of times that mindset translates over to weight loss and it doesn't serve them in the same way. And so if they feel like everything has to be perfect at work and that's what helped them move up the ladder, start a business, whatever it is, they take that same mindset into weight loss. But when things don't go perfectly, they give up because they feel like it's too difficult. So if you're a high achieving woman who has a pretty successful career, you have to have a different mindset when it comes to weight loss if you want to be successful. The things that serve you in your career don't always serve you the same way when it comes to changing your lifestyle and your body. The cycle I see a lot of women fall into when they struggle with all or nothing thinking is restriction, perceived failure, abandonment, guilt, and then restriction again. And what this looks like is, say you go on a really strict diet and then it doesn't really work out, you fall off track with something. You abandon the diet, you feel really bad about yourself, and then you try to go on another diet to compensate. You try to starve yourself, try to exercise more, and the cycle continues. You're never able to make consistent progress, which is why we have to break this cycle and break our all or nothing thinking to create habits that last long term. So let's discuss 7 signs that you have all or nothing thinking and then discuss how to change these patterns once and for all. Sign 1 is you're someone who likes to restart on Monday. So what this looks like is you're relatively good, quote unquote, during the week. On the weekend, you kind of just wing it, do whatever you want, don't care about what you're eating, kind of go a little crazy, and then you kind of restart on Monday. So this shows that you struggle with consistency because you see it as the week being, I'm rigid, I'm on track with things, but then the weekend, it's just a free for all. So this is showing a level of lack of consistency with all or nothing thinking, because what I see happen is you have a weekend meal, maybe brunch. You're like, oh, I already had a big brunch. So now I'm going to have a big dinner. Now I'm going to go out for drinks. Now I'm going to get dessert. So your weekends kind of spiral into you just over consuming. Whereas what a healthy habit looks like is during the week, you have consistency. During the weekend, you have consistency, but maybe that's a bit different. Maybe you're going out to eat, but not for every single meal. Maybe you're having a drink, but not 5 drinks. And so when I see women spiral on the weekends, that's a sure sign that it's all or nothing. Either they're on during the week or they're completely off track during the weekends. The second sign is you have good and bad food lists, and you feel like a good person when you eat good foods, and you feel bad about yourself when you eat bad foods. So if you categorize, for example, vegetables, lean meats, nuts as good foods, and you categorize carbs, sweets, candies as bad foods, that's a sign that you have all or nothing thinking, because you think that if you're eating the vegetables, you're good. If you're eating the other stuff, you're bad. And you don't have the room in your brain to think, I can have both of these and still be doing well with my health and wellness journey. The third sign is one deviation ruins everything. So if you plan to work out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you worked out Monday, Wednesday, you missed your workout, and so then you just miss Friday, that's a sign that you have all or nothing thinking, because that one missed workout causes you to miss everything else for that week. Or if you're someone who you can't have certain foods in your house, say a cookie, because you can't just have one cookie, you're going to end up having 3. You can't just have one Oreo, you're going to have the whole sleeve. That's all or nothing thinking, because you can't basically eat or consume things in moderation. You can't have balance with working out. It's either I'm perfectly following a clean diet, I'm perfectly following a 3-day workout routine, or I'm just completely off track with everything. Sign number 4 is you can't fully enjoy special occasions. And it's either because you kind of overindulge with food and feel guilty and bad about yourself afterwards, or you go to an event and you try to restrict or avoid food because you're scared you're going to go overboard. So you don't get the most out of social events because you're constantly thinking about food, worried about food, feeling guilty about food. So this is a sign that, once again, you have all or nothing thinking, because either you're on track, which means no social events, no drinking, no eating out, or you are eating out or going to social events and you're just eating whatever you want. There's no room to be able to enjoy a social event and enjoy that food in moderation. Sign number 5, which I see with a lot of women, is that your weight loss journey has an on and off switch. What this looks like is you might be on a diet for 4 weeks, 8 weeks, but then you get off the diet, you get back on, you get off. So you're never constantly, or you're never cruising at maintenance. You're never just maintaining healthy habits. It's either you're on some sort of diet, some sort of cleanse, or you're just winging it. You don't really know what having consistent healthy habits looks like. For example, if you're someone who before the summer, you do some sort of 4-week, 8-week challenge to lose weight before the summer, but then during the summer, you're doing whatever you want. Wintertime, you're on track with things, and then you kind of get off track during Christmas. That's a sign you have all or nothing thinking, because you can't stay consistent and just form healthy habits that last no matter the season of the year. Sign number 6 is you punish yourself for being imperfect. So, for example, if you eat more food than planned, you will go and run a bunch to counteract how much calories you ate. If you ate a lot over the weekend, you'll starve yourself on Monday to make up for the calories that you ate. So this is a clear sign of black and white thinking in action, because you're either binging on the weekend or you are starving yourself on Monday. So you're basically saying that I have to do the extreme to counterbalance one or the other. There's no consistency of I'm eating in moderation over the weekend, and that leads into Monday. It's I'm over consuming and then I'm extremely under consuming, and there's no middle ground. And sign number 7, you judge your worth based on how adherent you are to the protocols you set for yourself. So you feel good about yourself, you feel confident about yourself when you're on track with everything perfectly. but you feel bad about yourself, you judge yourself, you talk negatively to yourself when you're off track or you miss something. You basically tie your self esteem and self worth to how perfect you are with sticking to the habits that you said you were going to do. You have to separate your self worth from being perfect because no one's perfect. We all make mistakes. And when you have this cycle of your self worth being tied to your ability to do things perfectly, it continues a cycle of nothing working long term because you're always going to end up making some sort of mistake. It happens. That's going to tarnish your self worth and lead to you self abandoning, feeling guilty, and the cycle just continues. So let's talk about how to break the all or nothing thinking. The first thing you want to do is redefine what success looks like. So, success is not perfection, it's consistency over time. Consistency over time can be 80%, can be 70% adherence. It doesn't have to be 100%, and it's really never going to be 100% all the time. Progress over perfection is a cute saying, but it's real. If you can be 80% consistent for a year, that's going to get you way better results than trying to be 100% consistent because you'll be 100% for 2 weeks. Then when you hit 90, you're going to fall off track because you feel bad about yourself and you'll never be able to build the momentum to create those habits. But if you can say that good enough is good enough, which it is with weight loss, you'll essentially reach your weight loss goals without it feeling like it's so much pressure to be perfect all the time. You also want to focus on developing the good enough mentality when it comes to weight loss. And I know this is hard for my women who are very successful in their careers because good enough doesn't cut it in a lot of busy careers. However, when it comes to weight loss, having the good enough mindset is the key to being able to get to where you want to be and maintain it without needing to be perfect. So what that looks like is if you can't get your workout in, you still do a 10-minute walk. If you forgot your lunch at home, instead of eating the 3 slices of pizza in the office, you get a bowl from Kava. If you need a snack and you're out and about, that could look like having a protein bar in your glove compartment versus stopping and getting a 1,000-calorie meal from McDonald's. So these things might not be considered perfect, but you're still being able to do something versus doing nothing. And the mindset that gets created when, say, you skip a workout, but instead you do a 10-minute walk is that, hey, I can still do something. I still have some level of control, even if I can't do the full thing I set out to do. And so that changes your mindset to thinking that good enough is still good enough to get towards your results versus thinking that if I don't do things perfectly, I'm doing nothing, because that's the habit or the thought process that we're really trying to change. Done imperfectly is better than perfect, but never done. And the thing is, your body does not know the difference between you doing something perfectly and you just doing good enough. It just responds to consistent action, whether that means a 10-minute walk today, a 45-minute workout in a couple days, if that's eating vegetables today, or if that's having frozen vegetables tomorrow. As long as there's consistency, your body will respond, even if it's 80% consistency. The third thing you want to implement is the 24-hour rule. This means if you do get off track, you miss something, you skip something, you overindulge, you get back on track within 24 hours. This gets rid of the mentality that you have to wait till Monday or a new month to restart, because that's time that your brain is basically saying that, oh yeah, it's normal for me to wait 7 days, 13 days to restart because I got to start on this arbitrary day since it's the new week or the new month. By you restarting within 24 hours, you retrain your brain to think that I don't need some random time to get started. I can get back on track now. I can get back on track tomorrow. The goal is immediate course correction so that you start seeing the new normal when you get off track being that you reset immediately. So that could look like if you overate yesterday, you just go back to your normal eating habits the following day. If you missed your walk the day before, that just means the next day making sure you prioritize getting that walk in. So you're not doing anything extreme to counterbalance, like we talked about. This isn't an all or nothing thing, but you're doing things to ensure that if you do something that's a bit off track the day before, you get back to your regular habits the next day versus letting it spiral into those behaviors lasting for days on end. The next thing you want to do is build in flexibility because things are going to happen, work's going to get crazy, people are going to need you, and things are not going to be perfect. So something you can use to do this is follow something I call the minimum viable habit. And this means if I can't do X, I'm going to do Y. So say you're having a really busy week at work. For example, we had a client who she's a nursing manager, and there was a strike at her hospital. So she was working crazy shifts to make sure that everything was accommodated on the floor. And so she wasn't able to get her normal workouts in, her 3 workouts per week. And so her minimum viable habit was that she was going to walk every day. So what she did is she did not work out this entire week like a traditional workout, but instead every day she made sure to get in at least a 30-minute walk. So this allows you to understand that everything's not going to be perfect, but you have the minimum viable habits that you stick to, even if you can't do the full thing you plan to do. And this helps you change the all or nothing thinking to believe like, hey, if something does not go as planned, I have a backup plan. And because of that, I don't feel like a failure if I can't do the regular thing that I planned to do. So this reminds me of another client actually that we had who was a very successful lawyer, very well respected in her career, but it was so frustrating because that same discipline she had in her career, she could not translate into weight loss. And the biggest issue was she had such a busy schedule that it felt impossible to fit in working out and meal planning and all these different things. And she was looking at these people on social media who were hitting their 3 workouts a week, meal prepping every week. And so that's what she thought she had to do. And every time she tried to do that, it didn't work because she has a busy travel schedule and her life is just very hectic. So when she came and worked with us, we helped her really implement the 80-20 rule, which looks like 80% of the time you're pretty much doing things consistently, but we have 20% buffer for when things are not perfect. And we helped her create a plan to accommodate the fact that things will not always be perfect. So she was able to focus on walking every single day and strength training, but she had a backup plan, a minimum viable habit for when she had crazier work weeks. So because she had that backup plan and did not think that the standard was perfection, she was able to lose 19 pounds working with us, has maintained it for over 2 years now, and has gotten a promotion in her law firm. And a lot of it is because she's built confidence in her body and herself outside of just her career, which people can see. She's glowing. She's been giving more compliments. She's able to feel more confident when she's in meetings and leading her team. So I say that to say, even if you have a busy career, you just have to change your mindset and stop believing that things have to be perfect or the way you see them on social media in order for you to be successful. The next thing you want to do is have more neutral language around food, because when you try to label things as good and bad, you take that on as how you feel about yourself when you eat those specific foods. So for example, instead of saying, I was so bad today, I ate pizza, you could say, I ate pizza today, and tomorrow I'm going to eat more vegetables. There's no good or bad language there. It's simply what I ate today and what I'm going to prioritize eating more of tomorrow. Instead of saying something like, I ruined my whole week, you could say, I had 3 planned meals this week and 4 of the meals I had were unplanned. Once again, neutral language. It's simply, I had 3 things I planned, and the other 4 things maybe are not things I plan to eat, but it doesn't make you feel like a bad person for having certain meals over other meals. Food is just food. It doesn't have moral value, and neither do you for consuming it. The next thing you want to do is celebrate B plus behavior, which is very hard for my ladies who were straight A's in school, overachievers, and this used to be me too. We don't celebrate B pluses, only A's, right? But when it comes to weight loss, B plus behavior done consistently is what's going to lead to you achieving your weight loss goals. So recognize when you've done well, even if it's not perfect. So some examples of B plus behavior is I ate more than planned, but stopped before I felt stuffed. That's still a win because maybe old you would just eat and eat and eat until you got the itis, but new you is starting to eat. Sometimes you overindulge, but you're not going to the point where you're stuffed. That is B plus behavior. I had dessert mindfully rather than restricting and cutting out dessert only to binge later. That's great behavior because you're learning to enjoy certain foods in moderation without overindulging or restricting yourself, which will ultimately lead to you overindulging at a later date. I got 6,000 steps in, even though my goal was 7,000. That's B plus behavior. 6,000 is better than 0. It's better than 1,000. It's better than 2,000. So it's still a win to be celebrated. I did strength training 2 times this week instead of the planned 3. Once again, if you are only focusing on, I didn't do the 3, so I failed, then you're going to just stop strength training because you feel like you didn't do it perfectly. But if you can recognize the B plus behavior is still a win, 2 out of 3 is still better than 50%, then that mindset's going to help you stay consistent over time, even if it's just 80% consistency. So here are some common mistakes to avoid when you're trying to overcome all or nothing thinking. The first thing is trying to just apply more rules. Having more rules is not going to solve the fundamental issue that you have black and white thinking. So you might try to apply rules like no carbs Monday through Friday, no drinking on the weekend, whatever that looks like. But if you're an all or nothing person, you're going to follow those rules sometimes, and other times completely throw them out the window. So you have to address your mindset at a fundamental level in order for any types of rules or structure to actually work long term. The second mistake to avoid is beating yourself up because you struggle with all or nothing thinking. Nothing good comes from you being down on yourself. I always like to say if you want to make long term sustainable changes, you have to do it from a place of self love and wanting the best for yourself, not self hate or shame. Having self compassion is a secret weapon when it comes to weight loss because when you have a small slip up, you don't beat yourself up and stay down. You say, hey, you know what? That's fine. We made a mistake. We're going to get up and try again tomorrow. Another mistake to avoid is trying to make this change alone. If you struggle with all or nothing thinking, it's probably something you've struggled with for a long time. It's come from childhood, from maybe how you were raised, the diet industry. And so if you just keep trying to do new meal plans, new workout plans, and you're going to keep failing, right? Because you have the fundamental issue of seeing that you're either doing really well or you're completely off track. You want to have some help with the mindset component to change the way that you think, which will allow you to actually stay consistent with really anything that you do. So inside of our coaching program, we actually have our own in-house therapist to help our clients overcome self-sabotage, all or nothing thinking, fear of failure, changing their relationship with food. So don't think you have to do this alone. I know that especially if you have a successful corporate career or you have your own business or you work in the medical field, whatever it is, you're used to figuring things out on your own. But with weight loss, that's wasted time. You're spending more time not feeling comfortable and confident in your body when you can get the help you need to change your mindset. That will change your habits. The next mistake is expecting things to change overnight. When you struggle with a mindset issue, it takes time for your brain to rethink and think in a different type of way. You're basically taking time to retrain your brain to go from all or nothing thinking to good enough is good enough. And so that's going to take time. It's going to take practice. And so if you're expecting things to change overnight, you're going to be disappointed because that's not how it works. So change your expectation. Focus on my goal is to change my habits and change my mindset. Not my goal is to lose 20 pounds overnight because this is going to work immediately. So by changing your expectations, you're going to be more invested in the process, which will lead to the result feeling more easy. So remember that all or nothing thinking isn't a flaw of yours. It's not a personality trait that you're stuck with. It's a pattern that you can unlearn. So thank you so much for tuning into the Fit and Fulfilled show today. I hope you walked away with practical strategies you can start implementing to feel more confident, fulfilled, and energized in your personal and professional life. And if you found this helpful in absolutely any way, I ask that you please subscribe and share it with a friend who you think would find this information helpful so they can benefit from these strategies as well. And if you want to lose 20 to 50 pounds without cutting out your favorite foods and overcome all or nothing thinking, then I definitely recommend applying for our coaching program, the Fit and Fulfilled Academy. In the Academy, we help busy professional women like you by providing the coaching, guidance, and support that you need with nutrition, fitness, and mindset to achieve lasting weight loss. All the details are down below. Next week, we're diving into a brand new topic that you're not going to want to miss. But until then, remember you deserve to feel as confident in your body as you do in your career. Take care.